Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Lappin. I am Joseph Lappin. You guys having a good Tuesday evening? Happy Tuesday to you guys. Welcome into the Real. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate that. Let's get a like rally going as we come in here. Get a new subscribers. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Excuse me. We'd like some more new subscribers. You guys like the content, so if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And yeah, awesome show tonight. Always looking forward to when we have the legendary coach, world class trader Johnnie Legrair on. Coach will be joining us tonight here momentarily. And to kind of get some context of tonight's show, where the idea for this show came from, it's something we've kind of a lot of stuff we've already been talking about on this show. Obviously, Coach has just years and decades of knowledge and worked with many athletes. Some that he's named like Butch Reynolds and Paris Campbell and Duran Grant, to name a few. But works with a lot of current athletes that are high school level in particular. And high school football kicked off this weekend in Ohio, and I was at a game Friday night, and I know a lot of people that were at games Friday night all weekend. I was at a JV game Saturday morning, and went back and watched a lot of games this weekend. And one thing that stood out to me the most was just the amount of cramps that I saw in 1 week, and the amount of cramps I heard about from other games and saw on TV in 1 week. I've never seen that many cramps before in my life. I don't think it was normal. Yeah, cramps are going to happen week one. Guys are nervous. It's hotter out this time of year, but it wasn't that hot out Friday night if you were in Ohio. It was pretty mild. I mean, it was probably in the 70s. You could put a hoodie on at halftime. It wasn't that hot. And I think it's a lot of what I saw was just bad preparation. You hear a lot about a lot of non-contact injuries constantly. Contact injuries are going to happen. It's a violent sport. Football's a contact sport, but you hear a lot about these non-contact injuries. I saw a few over the weekend. But mainly the cramps. I mean, the cramps were so bad at the game I was at. I saw the placeholder on the PAT unit got a cramp. Let me repeat. I saw the placeholder on the PAT unit for the other team. He got a cramp. I've never seen that before in my life. I've never seen a placeholder get a cramp, but I saw it this weekend. And so I'm a little concerned because it seems like it's escalated and got worse year to year to year. And then yesterday I'm at a Starbucks midday with my sister getting some drinks, and not going to say the high school, obviously, but there was a local high school in there, and it was a field hockey team, all in Starbucks, and they had a game in 3 hours. And they're all in Starbucks drinking coffee and lattes and all this stuff 3 hours before a game. I didn't see one bottle of water in sight. I didn't see a Gatorade in sight or anything that you would think to drink. And there's a lot of athletes, a lot of pros that drink a lot of coffee before games to maybe get a little buzz. I get that, but I just think that if that's the priority before a game, I don't think it's probably not a priority based on everything else I've seen. That they're really hydrating properly, and so this is a big problem. I think not only just it's not. I mean, not just in high school sports, really all sports, but particular in high school sports, there is just a lot of bad training going on with these high school trainers and these strength coaches. And there's a lot of great ones. Don't get me wrong. I know a few of them, but a lot of what I see is just a lot of just uh, not good preparation. And I don't think they're not doing them at the athletes any good. They're actually doing them a disservice with a lot of stuff you see. And so I think it's kind of turning into a big problem that needs to be addressed. And so it's something we're going to really get on and talk about here on this show a lot this year. As the season goes on, we're going to react to injuries with the Browns. Obviously, injuries are going to show up. And so that's why Coach has been an incredible asset to this show because he can speak on it better than anybody. So um, let's get to it, though. Without further ado, the legend himself, Coach Johnnie Legrair. Coach, what's happening?
Legend in my own mind. How you doing?
Good, good. FCC. We both got the Speed for Sports shirts on tonight.
That's right. We rocking it, baby.
We're rocking it. So you guys need to. You see the sign right there behind Coach. So if you're watching this show and you have a young athlete or if you're a coach that has any questions, even we don't care who you are. If you have any questions, call Coach tonight or email him. He'll gladly help. You can email the show as well. We want to help. That's the reason for this whole show tonight, Coach, because there's a bad problem that I see, Coach, right now. I was really concerned coming out of this weekend in week one, especially at my game. I've never seen a placeholder on a PAT get a get a cramp. And, that guy usually doesn't play a whole lot. But um, what I guess we'll start there, Coach. What is I mean, obviously hydration is the big part of it, but what's your thoughts when you constantly see these? I mean, I sent you so many photos throughout the game and kept texting Coach as the game I was. I said, another guy down, another guy down, another guy down. And I saw guys, Coach, on the sideline literally chugging bottles of water and walking up and down gingerly and then going back in the game. When you hear and see all these things, what's your initial reaction?
You kind of hit it in a couple different areas here. One, the biggest piece is just not a lot of preparation for that part of the game. I mean, hydration is critical. That is an extremely critical point for hydration. And we talked about that cycle a few dozen times. I just don't think much focus is going into that. I know there's 8 billion things to do. Head football coach is probably running 60 athletes, 12 coaches, offense, defense, special teams. There's a lot of stuff going on. So somebody, I think, needs to make sure they're taking charge and doing that. But it's just primarily a lack of preparation. I said I was going to tell some parents I saw at the grocery store that were talking to me about something like this. I said, I'm going to stop saying this is easy. I'm going to say this is really, really hard, but I'm confident that people can do it. You must hydrate. Back in the day when I was announcing a couple hundred football games, I would get a little gentleman's bet for crackers how many times we would stop during the game that I was working for just a little dehydration cramp. I saw it Saturday. I saw some college games where you land on the ground. Everybody's like, oh, my goodness, he's grabbing the back of his leg. It's just his calf is getting ready to snap on him and he's having a fit. That's it. You start bending that toe up, trying to get that calf to release. And it's too late what he's doing now, drinking water.
Stretching it and drinking water.
It's just a little bit too late. Stuff happens, and you might see this sometime. But to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20 times out of 15 games played or more, I used to say you probably going to stop at least 4 times in the first quarter, at least 3 times in the second quarter, maybe twice in the third quarter. Same will happen this Friday. It'll be a bunch of play stop. A guy will grab his leg, he'll grab his calf. That's kind of where that lack of hydration starts. And as you said, and we talked about before, when you see somebody run to the sideline and go, too late. It's just too late. It's a 72-hour thing. You plan on Friday, we should be hydrating.
Starting right now tonight.
But we should be going Wednesday, making sure we're getting that water in you. Again, that loose formula, about 2 bottles a day, 3 bottles a day, and they're 16.9 ounces. I ran into a kid that drinks 1.5 gallons of water a day, and I told him he probably should go talk to his doctor. That's a lot of water, man. That's a lot of water. Ask him, did he carry a toilet behind him? Because it's just, he becomes the middleman.
That's a lot of subbing out, Coach. Not because I need a break. I got to go piss. I mean,
that's hard. So there's a balance, and you have to find that balance. But what we see, and you'll see it again. And I was a little shocked to see, I watched 3 parts of 3 college games Saturday. Same thing. We'll be right back after this break. Then the kid gets up and walks off the field. It's just that cycle. And again, if you're getting 2 to 3 bottles of water a day, those bottles today are generally 16.9 ounces. Back when I played, it was like 10 or 12 ounces. But if you're popping down a couple of those, you're getting 32, maybe getting 48 ounces of water a day. That should get you through. I mean, we need water. However, we're playing stuff. So we need electrolytes. We have to find a beverage with electrolytes. And I had the debate with someone at school about, well, it's got sugar in it. Well, so does our bodies. So you got to find that balance. And if you got an issue with sugar and Powerade, Gatorade, or some other sport beverage, I did this 20 years ago. If you email those folks that manufacture that stuff, they'll be glad to send you 17 screens of how they do sugar. It's a formula, and they're pretty good at it. So, I'm not saying go take a spoon and go to the sugar bowl and start eating the sugar, but we have fat we have sugar, we have sodium in our bodies, and that stuff's got to be replenished. It's not a secret. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe it is a secret that you have to replenish those things to stay in the game. You get that water, sport beverage, and then when it's over, we want to kind of chill it out with a good low-fat chocolate, low-fat strawberry milk, unless you're lactose intolerant. Had an athlete that was lactose intolerant a few years ago. They found some beverage somewhere at some little tiny neighborhood store that was equivalent to a low-fat chocolate, low-fat strawberry, but it cost an arm and a leg. But you got to do what you got to do if you're lactose intolerant. But it's a simple cycle, but here I go again. It's a really hard cycle. You have to try to do this. It's very hard. All I can suggest to you is try it.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, that's the hard part about, doing the core work at home. It's the hard part about getting the proper nutrition, the hard part about that, and sleep. I talked to an athlete that said maybe he gets about 4 to 6 hours of sleep at night. I'm like, you're tired. I'll tell you how important sleep is. When I was at the Ohio State, Trussell was there, and Butch Reynolds was the speed coach. Jim Trussell called Butch. We had a coaches meeting at like noon or 1. It's like 10:15 in the morning. Trussell called Butch and said, hey, I forgot to tell you, I want you to do something at the meeting. I want you to spend about 30 minutes talking about sleep deprivation. Man, that was some serious stuff. So
and that's real too. I know a lot of athletes that are 4 to 6 hours, or just people in general. Sleep nowadays, I think just a lot because of technology. There's so much. You sit on social media. There's a lot of just too much information you're absorbing, I think, mentally, because I do a lot of mental health stuff. But yeah, general rule of thumb for you should try to get at least 6 to 8 hours a night, which some people require less than others. Some people need a little more, but that's like a general, some people would say 6.5 to 8, somewhere in there. But
and here again is where that doctor comes in. There's a lot of information, you can pull out of your doctor. If you think, man, I'm not eating right, you can go talk to a nutritionist. Let them kind of track what you eat and see what we're doing. You need X number of calories per day based on you. It's an individual kind of thing. I don't need 3,000 calories a day anymore. I'm not playing softball, baseball, basketball, football, tennis, all that stuff. But you still want to have, a good diet, so to speak, a good recommended stuff that you need. Best spot to start is with a doctor. Hey, am I doing this? But, you can overdo it. You can, like the kid that's drinking 1.5 gallons of water a day. I'm like, I don't think that's good, but I'm not a doctor. So, people die from too much water. Like they'll cramp up and maybe die from not eating enough water. So, we got to have that balance. But again, I don't think there's enough attention paid to that. It's like hamstrings. We're not paying attention to that until it hurts.
Or a little tender, keep playing on it, and it's too late. Now you got an MCL problem.
Yep. That's kind of the way that clock ticks. Is that hamstring is telling you something. That check engine light in the body. It's not the hamstring most of the time. It's something else, and you got to get that something else looked at or checked. So, but that balance, you just got to find that balance to keep yourself hydrated. Turf is hotter, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. I talked to some college soccer players, and they were talking about how hot it was a couple times in August and a couple times in July. And when they left the field, it didn't feel as hot. And I said, well, it wasn't, because you're playing on plastic, and it's 97 degrees air temperature with about 90 degrees heat index.
Yeah. And I felt that
feel like 100 and some.
I felt that on Saturday. I was at that JV game, and Saturday, it wasn't that hot out. It was probably, 70s, or like I had on a pullover early on in the morning. First time I wore one this year so far since spring, because it's been hot all summer. I went out on the turf coach after the game, was talking to some people, and the sun started to come out, and I started to feel a little too hot in that pullover. I was like, I need to get off the turf, get back to the car. It was getting a little, it was, normal air temperature was about, like you said, 68, 70, which was it was a little chilly.
Yeah.
Staying out on that turf, it felt like summer again.
Yeah. It's plastic, and it's got a couple little holes in it. It's not as porous, but you basically have that sun beating down on that plastic for 5-6 hours, and then you're running around on it. So it's just much, much hotter. And
Yeah.
I think that needs to be addressed. You know, a couple guys told me Friday they played offense, defense, and special teams.
I watched a bunch of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was still talking like he's just been rode hard, put away wet on a 90-degree day.
Yeah, I mean, I
That
saw a lot of guys the next day too, not to cut you off, but just to fall off of that. I mean, I see so many guys the next day too, coach, they're all bandaged up. Uh, I mean, I know some schools do yoga the next day, which I'm sure is great for recovery.
yeah,
A lot of movement and stretching, but man, it's tough because, like you said, with sleep and stuff, a lot of these guys, they're Friday night, they're not getting home until midnight.
yep,
I mean, the game I was at, they didn't get out until probably midnight or getting
yep.
home. You know what I mean? Then they got to get up the next morning early and go to yoga. And it's like, when do you really ever get like rest? When does your body ever recover? Because then you got to get Sunday. It's like you're preparing for Monday. And then so when school starts too, I mean, it's like a nonstop cycle. And it's like, I wonder too, just the overload on a lot of these kids nowadays. Like, is it really necessary? A lot of stuff we're doing, because we're clearly, I don't think it's a lot of it's unnecessary. And it's not working because we're seeing with the injuries
Yeah,
uptick and just
yeah,
kids falling on the ground with cramps. And these cramps now, I mentioned this on the last time we were on, coach. These cramps are a lot more like intense now. You know,
absolutely.
10 years ago when a guy had a cramp, you get up, and I saw a couple of these. When a guy gets up, okay, jog off, stretch it out. You know what I mean?
Yep,
These
yep,
guys now, they're down for a minute, and you're thinking, okay, is this guy like hurt? Is
yeah.
he like, you know what I mean? Does he need help here? Like, what's going on? And then they sit there on the ground. I mean, I saw a kid last year chug 2 Powerades in a span of 5 minutes and was still struggling when he walked
Yeah,
off the field. And
yeah.
I'm like, this is something wrong. If you're a trainer though, because I know we ain't labeled this too as the trainer's handbook. Um, I see a lot of coaches or a lot of teams coach that don't have electrolytes on the sideline. They just have water.
Yeah,
I've always thought there's something wrong with that. I mean, especially some of these schools that have a lot of money. You can't buy some Powerade for the guys.
yeah,
They need it more than the people in the stands. So, I mean,
yep.
what's your thoughts on that? And then what do you do when a kid has a cramp? What's the proper way to approach that during a game or practice?
I like to have a sport beverage out there. Again, water is great,
Yeah.
but you're missing all those electrolytes. You need to replenish. You need
So
to
there
get
should
that
be an
stuff
emphasis.
back.
We need Powerade or whatever it is. Our sponsor is on the sideline.
Absolutely. But I talked to some high school trainers, and at Ohio State, I can recall they would get these tons of powder.
Hmm.
And that's a little bit of an issue. Some high schools get powder because it's less expensive than buying 17,000 8-ounce bottles of Powerade or Gatorade.
Yeah, and you put in the big containers and
Yeah,
stir
you
it up.
put it,
Yeah,
and herein lies the problem. If you don't mix it right, it's horrible.
diluted. Yeah,
Yes, I mean,
not as
and I
effective either.
no, and I've had some that have been spit out horrible. So that's an issue I think too. And there's usually a school may have one trainer and maybe an assistant,
Hmm.
and you got 60 athletes, 16 sports. So it's a little bit difficult. But some of this, I think, particularly high school athletes, you got to take it on, man. You got to do this yourself. You got to make sure your body is staying pliable,
Hmm.
flexible. You want to be agile, fragile, and mobile. You can't do that just 2.5, 3 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, and then play Friday. It takes some extra work. You got to do something at home. And having said that, I'm not trying to say you're going to kill a kid, which I've had that conversation with some parents. The kid can't play 5 sports in one season.
No,
Just
no,
can't do that.
it's
It's just,
impossible.
but it's going to get better. You really don't get better by playing more
Nope.
unless who you're playing more with is actually making some corrections and not just getting paid and playing games. I've seen some kids come off some AAU stuff that were awful. Like, what did you do for the last 7 weeks?
And a
Like,
lot of their parents too, they're the ones, hey, he's gonna play it he's gonna play varsity, he's gonna
yeah,
play this, but is he
yeah,
really doing the right things? Because I could tell you one thing, if your goal is to get little Bobby, wherever his name is, to the to college, these colleges aren't gonna look at you because they see all the flaws. I'm like,
yeah.
you know,
And again, it's that well-rounded athlete. Can't stress that enough. Colleges are not saying, "All right, I got this kid that's been playing football since birth. I'm taking that kid."
yeah, he's played
Or
varsity since freshman or
yeah,
8th grade year or
yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean?
But he's always hurt. I mean,
Yeah,
the
right.
telltale sign is how often is this kid hurt? how often is this kid literally dragging, or how often does this kid have what I call R sickness? When you put this 10, 12, 14-year-old in the car, you put the car in R, kid's knocked out. Just
Yeah.
like Mike Tyson hit him. He just can't stay up one more second. He is so exhausted. I've been to baseball games where after the 2 games, kids can't even carry their bat bag.
Wow.
Parents are carrying the bat bag. But he's on his way to do some throwing now for some football. Then later on, he's going to go shoot some free throws.
I wonder too, like, where do you ever get better as an athlete? Like, if you're, let's say, your sport's football, let's say, that's what we're talking about mainly tonight. Where do you ever get better? Because it's like if you're in that kind of environment or culture, there's something wrong there. Like, it's literally they don't know how to develop kids properly or something. You know what I mean? And you see it all over now. Especially we can name a bunch of high schools around here. We're not going to, but we know a bunch where it's like you look at him, you're kind of like, yeah, the kid's playing a lot, but he's never getting better. And like you said, with these colleges, they're going to look at a kid's injury history too. A lot of times kids are put out there too early, but also I would look at a kid. There's a reason why certain kids get pulled from the same high schools all the time, because a lot of those high schools, they know what they're doing in terms of getting kids ready for college, but overall development as an athlete on and off the field. And they're not going to look at kids unless you're, especially with all the scholarships dropping now. I was talking to a college coach about a month ago, and he's like, man, scholarships are going from 24 to 16 already at this school they were at. Yeah. And he goes, so our margin for finding kids, unless you're like a dude, like a Jeremiah Smith at whatever school, we're going to be real particular who we pick out, because we only have X amount of scholarships now. We got NIL, portal, all that stuff. So it's like, that's another thing I don't get coached. And a lot of these parents, it's like, why not find the right people to develop your put your kid where they, like, why not call coach? Why not, I just don't see, a lot of them don't know, but that's why we're here tonight, because we want to point out a lot of these flaws that we see where maybe you guys can be more aware as parents, where maybe, hey, maybe change can be good, from some people's cases.
Yeah, it's, I've had this conversation dozens and dozens of times. More is not better.
Yep.
This is America, so we think, we got more, it's better. Tell a cross country kid, this weekend, since you ran Thursday, Saturday is going to do a little easy run, maybe a half mile, do a little walking, and then do another half mile. On Monday, the kid will say, I did 12 miles. Why? Well, what's a half mile? Yeah. So we just think more is better. We want to try to do more.
Yeah.
More rest is better. I get from talking to parents who do AAU club, right back to school, blah, 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 8 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old, until the injury happens where you can't play. You can't go. You've been getting all those little signs. Hey, stop, that's hurting a little bit. But we tell them, hey, you're tough. You can fight through that. It's just a little pain. So I'm not a fan of playing year round. And I've never been a fan of playing the same sport for 12 months.
Yeah.
Those are the kids that usually get injured. It's a repetitive motion of the same muscle group, and it's probably not being trained. It's just playing. I saw kids at a park. They were just playing little catch. There was about 3 or 4 of them playing baseball. They walked out. They got to the park. They immediately start throwing 100 yards. These kids were 100 yards apart. First toss.
100 yards.
100 yards, man. Let's see if we can throw it on a rope. Throw a strike at 100 yards. And after about 7 of those, all the kids start moving their arms around.
And their energy's gone quick too.
Yeah. So I just don't think we do enough for preparation. We will rehab.
Yeah.
But we won't prehab. We won't find a way to make this better. That's what I think is happening to a lot of the college and pro athletes. These are marquee athletes, man.
Yeah.
They traded Pickett or did something with him. He didn't get much of a chance because he was hurt. He couldn't get out there and showcase that. Wherever he's going to have some serious drills to make sure that hamstring is going to hold up.
Yeah. He never really got a shot to compete like he was supposed to. And You look at Shador last weekend playing on the oblique. I mean,
Yeah,
it looked fine. I mean, they had some other struggles in that game, but I mean,
yeah,
you wonder that. I mean, these guys they don't really have enough time to rest. But it's like, and we know an athlete who had some problems before the season, and now he's out, and it's
yeah.
like they're high school on up. I mean, it's like I don't. That's why I was amazed when I watched all these cramps weekend. And that's why I was texting because I always think of you first because we talk about this all the time. It's like, what are they doing all off season besides just lifting and running? Like, do you do anything else besides lifting and running? Because
Playing.
that's really all the same motions too, constantly for
Yeah,
months.
yeah,
You're not
yeah.
doing anything else, and then you wonder why they're out there cramping up, get injured, and all this stuff. I mean, like it's so like you said, you always say it's so easy. But it's
It's
almost like
hard.
it's too easy. It's like
It's
everybody's
hard.
trying to be the smartest person in the room now as a trainer, and they're really just hurting the kids in the long run.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can be done, and I don't know what a lot of these athletes do, but I do know this Friday you're gonna see the same thing.
Yep.
Uh, you're going to see, the same kids laying on the ground, the same number of
Yeah.
kids. It's like, what happened? What happened? You get all of this kind of one-way stuff going. Our kid's doing something to the left, but he's not doing anything to the right. He's not doing
Mhm.
anything to the front. He's not doing anything to the back. So if you don't create muscle balance, you create failure. So something will have to fail. So I just wish there was a tremendous amount more time spent on preparation rather than just playing. Let's do
Yeah.
something else. It's a tough sell. I mean, a lot of my friends coach football, and it's a really tough sell for me to go to them and say, man, I saw you guys running and they didn't really like doing a bunch of good warm-ups. And they goes, yeah, we don't really have time for that. We got plays to run and I got 42 minutes left. And,
You got
you
everybody
know,
to run plays by the time you get
yeah,
done. I mean,
yeah. So I'm like, yeah, it just has to be more time spent in the preparation end. And honestly, I don't see it happening. I don't
yeah.
see it is going to a spot where, all right, but I will say there was a volleyball crew who shall remain nameless in Cleveland. I
Mhm.
trained 5 girls on these teams, and I was so impressed on what they did twice a week. I emailed the guy that was running it and said, I'm around a lot of athletes that play stuff 12 months. I have never seen somebody actually prepare to play. They didn't play volleyball 3 days a week. They did fitness stuff on Monday. They did flexibility balance and movement
Mm.
stuff on Wednesday. And then they learned how to play volleyball on Friday. And most other girls I was training, I was playing volleyball. We just play, man. We do a little tiny stretch with our arms, little 10-foot line thing back and forth, and we go.
And as
But
time goes on, you'll see the separation between those athletes and the other ones.
absolutely. You walk into a gym, particularly on the female side, unfortunately, we talked before, they kind of take the short end of the stick, if you will. They
Mm.
don't really get a lot of this stuff until they get into college. Consequently, a significant number of girls that go from high school to college are injured in the first 90 days. They can't take what's getting ready to happen to them.
Yeah.
Because they just kicked the ball. They kicked soccer balls for 8 years.
Yeah.
They shot free throws, they shot threes, but they didn't really prepare to go to battle. And I think if they spend a lot more time with that, be a lot less stoppage of play, and there'll be a lot less little tiny injuries that preventing you from playing the game.
Before we move on from the cramp side of things, I want to finish up with that real quick because any trainer out there watching this, maybe a first year trainer, I know I've seen a lot of high schools. They got a lot of new trainers this year and stuff like that. The first time they've really been in this position. If you're in a game where a kid has a cramp, right? Obviously, usually you stretch them out, you give them some fluids, and ready to go back in there. How do you address that properly, though, Coach? Like if you're a trainer in the middle of a game, you got a kid cramping pretty good, like the ones you see normally nowadays. How do you go forward that? Because also, what's the risk of keep playing on that when you're really dehydrated? Like you mentioned before, how hydration is a big part of these non-contact injuries sometimes, where the muscles don't have all they need to, recover and
Yeah.
keep moving forward. So, how do you address that as a trainer in game and so forth?
Now, first, you make it easy or make it hard and do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before Friday. But you got to take them out and they got to sit. I mean, their muscles are twitching and jumping and locking. and it hurts. I've had that before when I was younger, and when that thing grabs you, man, you can't move.
Hmm.
It's just locked down. You got to get them out. You got to get that thing a little bit loose and moving. That's why you see all of the bending of the toe and the massaging of the calf. You want to get that thing moving, get the blood flowing again, get stuff going. But the hardest part is just do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you might not have to do it on Friday. But
Yeah.
they just got to come out and sit down. Fluids are great, but it's too late. I mean, there's nothing you're going to drink that's going to be instantly get some potassium and carbohydrates and electrolytes going to that muscle. It's just not going to happen. It looks good, but everyone I saw, like on the college games, the trainer runs out, got two bottles. He got a bottle with a little bit of color in it that I'm presuming is a sport beverage, and
Hmm.
he's got a bottle that's clear. So, but then again, a lot of folks will go, I don't know if they need all that sugar. Well, we need it. We need stuff in our body. And again, it's not like you're taking a sugar bowl and getting a straw and drinking 5 pounds of sugar. It's measured. Again, we got fat, sodium, sugar in our bodies, so we need to address that. It's replenished. We take this stuff out. We got to put it back to the old fireplace. You got 10 logs in there.
Hmm.
That thing's going to be hot. In about 3 hours, it's down to one log. You got to put more wood in the fireplace.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me too. I remember Bill Belichick said one time he was mic'd up during his practice, and he said, "Your players are your greatest assets." And I always wonder too. It's like I wonder why, a lot of these coaches and programs. It's like why not get more water in their face, get more, I mean, I get it's hard to get kids to drink that stuff nowadays. Besides, energy drinks and coffee places and all that stuff. It's all they want to drink nowadays, or just pop. But kids are, they're kids. But I think too, it's like I don't see a lot of schools really promoting it properly. Like I think the more you put it in their face and explain to them how important it is, what the consequences are. We do seminars and they do little conferences and a bunch of other things throughout the year. Why not do stuff on that? To me, explain to them, have more knowledge about it. And I think a lot of kids will start to understand. I think a lot of kids really just don't know because they don't. The people running the team don't know,
Yeah.
and then they get put in these situations, and it's like I think that's where a lot of the flaws are. It's like there's just not a lot of like. How about we just promote it more? I mean, put it in
Yeah.
their face, provide it for them if you can. I mean,
Yeah.
that'll help. I mean, a lot of these kids at some of these schools, I get that maybe they don't have the best financial, stability, but you could find a way. I would think.
Absolutely. And oftentimes you don't know, but you don't know that you don't know. So it makes it hard for you to know that you don't know because you
Yeah.
just don't know that you don't know that you don't know.
Hmm.
So, and then some folks don't like reaching out for help. I got
Yeah.
this, I'll do this. But if I think it should be part of, if we're doing summer stuff, on Monday, we're going to have this discussion about hydration. Now, at track and field practice, if I say, I don't say get a water break, I say hydrate. I want to see athletes taking in some electrolytes and
Hmm.
taking in some water. And I watch. When I watch them go over there, and I'll go over and say, why are you not drinking anything? Oh, I don't really like drinking stuff. Then I just put a little dot by her name. She'll be on the ground in a couple of days when we start running these 400s, 300s, 200s, 100s, 100
Yeah.
push-ups,
Can
100
see it
sit-ups,
coming
100.
already.
Yeah. So um, but again, it goes back to that great old American thing too. We are so busy. We never have enough time to do it right, but we manage to always find enough time to do it over. So
Yeah.
I would prefer to do it right the first time. And again, it's so simple. I think it's too hard with flexibility and balance and some nutrition and sleep.
Mm.
But that's teams. I got to stop saying it's easy and just say it's too hard.
Yeah. That reminds me too, shout out to Ohio State's trainer, Mickey Marotti, because I see a lot of videos from their spring practice I saw. It was going viral on TikTok. It was they're all sitting there at the practice in a circle and they're using the stretch bands, same ones we use. And then they're all throughout practice. He's sitting there on a microphone because he conducts practice, like telling guys where to go. Period here, period 2, period 3, individual,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
team 7-on-7. But he always throughout practice. If you listen to Ohio State highlight practice any time of the year, you hear Mickey Marotti in the background going, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate,
Yeah.
constantly screaming it. So they're using the bands, they're stretching properly, and they're hydrating properly. And I don't really hear a lot of injuries from them. I mean, you hear contact stuff, which is going to happen, but
Yeah.
I can't remember a lot of like major injuries with Ohio State in recent years that I can think of. That maybe I mean, there's some guys that had bad luck.
Yeah.
They could never get on the field. You know, even before they got to before they got to college. I think that was more of just a different problem. I mean, each case is different, but overall,
Sure.
I mean, they're pretty healthy most of the time.
When I was down there, when Butch was there and Trussell was there, Butch Reynolds, I was so impressed that they had a band wall that was probably 40 yards long.
Wow.
Bands of all sizes, all shapes. Not only did they have the wall, but they actually used them.
Yeah.
They actually
And they
had
use
a
them after
regular
practice
routine.
too.
Yep. They
Yeah.
had a couple guys who were like, I had a couple basketball players, 6'4", 6'6" over the years, that I couldn't touch their knees, not let alone anything else. So they did stuff before and after practice and at home.
How important is that too to do that after practice? Because I don't see any team coach that I've been around that stretches after practice.
I have not seen it, and
And I
I've
wonder,
not
I'm like,
seen
why? What,
I've
like,
not seen a cool down.
yeah, a proper cool down. But how about I mean, at the end of every at the end of every one of our sessions we did when I worked with you, and I still do it now. I went worked out a couple hours ago. Always use that band at the end and
Yeah.
stretch and flex. You know, do flexibility stuff, and you feel better after too, and you don't feel sore. You just feel more flexible. I'm like, why don't they stretch at the end of practice ever?
I just think there is so much going on from my friends that coached football, and I go, why you do this? Why you do that? Why you do this? Um, Oftentimes, I learned that after the season start, there wasn't very much conditioning, just punishment runs.
Yeah.
So they really didn't do a lot of conditioning. But I thought, man, it's just got to be another way. There's a lot of ways of doing stuff, but there's got to be a better way. You know, a cool down jog. I do backward stuff for cool downs because we do all of this forward stuff, kind of, neglect the backwards part. I do a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of stuff to the left, a little bit of stuff to the right. And then that all important hydration piece. I mean, it's just so critical. Again, it's really hard to do, but it's so critical to have that mix. We got to get all that stuff together. I saw a training video for USA men's soccer. Very sophisticated. The beepers, they got $1 trillion, so they can do all of this stuff to get to their target heart rates, where you start getting in a little more conditioning. But what I also learned, that once they get to that rate, they stop. You go beyond that, it's just not. It's kind of a negative training. Now we're not getting much out of it because I'm at my target heart rate, and I'm getting a little bit more endurance, and now I need to stop. But not now. We got to keep going. So we just get to that spot where it's just negative. It's not really helping. So they back off, and then they do recovery, which was pretty phenomenal to me watching some of that stuff. But there are a lot of really, really smart folks out there doing stuff. I just think we skip some stuff out of time and space. Let's skip that today and skip this today. But would really like to see part of the summer stuff we was talking about earlier. Monday, we're doing Bosu ball and bands.
Mm-hmm.
We're not pushing a truck up a hill or pulling a 747 with our neck.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. All right. We're going to do Bosu ball and a little bit of Met ball and a bunch of different bands. There's like 1,900 different bands. So we're going to do a bunch of band stuff. And on Tuesday, it's going to be a little lighter. And on Wednesday, they're going to get a little bit more aggressive with some short sprints. I don't know why, but I don't know why a football kid needs to run 13 miles a week. Football is fast. Football is not jogging. So I don't want to train my central nervous system to run slow. I can see a football player doing maybe 15 20s, not all at the same time, maybe 10 40s, not all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's football. That's speed. Now I'm training my central nervous system and my quick twitch muscles to respond fast. I don't want myself jogging. I don't want to jog 100 yards with a football. I want to sprint. So we sort of like to practice how we play. So we
Hmm.
play fast. We got to practice fast. We don't need to run 1,800 laps around the football field.
Yeah.
Uh, those are what I call punishment runs, where you get nothing out of it but just piss the kid off.
Yeah, I remember I've seen some practices, a bit part of some where at the end of practice we're just running. We're really running just 1,000 yards
Yeah,
in a row, and that's
yeah,
how we end practice. No cool down, no nothing. We just
yeah,
ran 100 yards down and back 10 times.
yeah.
And I remember I'm sitting there thinking like, man, we got a game Friday. I mean, we're gonna be exhausted. I mean, because we're gonna come back tomorrow. We're gonna run us some more at the end of
Yeah,
practice, and then Thursday, it's really our only rest day, and then Friday we got to go play. And it's like I've seen some teams and was a part of some teams where week one half the teams on IR,
yeah. And that there,
and some of that was due to not rosters were kind of small. But if I have a smaller roster, I got to know how to manage that properly. And
yeah,
even if I have a big roster, I mean, eh, like you were saying, why not? Why we need to practice more like we play than rather than just trying to be the toughest guys in practice and look at us. And yeah, 'cause like, I could say because I've been a part of football for so long, but a lot of football, I was talking to a high school coach last week. He's like, man, a lot of these coaches are nowadays are very stubborn. This is somebody who was in the college game recently
yeah,
and see a lot of the flaws not coming back. And they're just like, a lot of these coaches are very stubborn. They don't want to listen to anything new,
yeah,
very just my way or the highway.
yeah,
And you're kind of sitting there like maybe it's time for you to move on then if you can't adapt to certain, because I think the best coach, what's made you great for so long is you've always adapted for years. You never you always adjusted, willing to learn new methods, studying things I mean, a lot of these coaches now, coach, they're not doing, we're going to run this amount every day where we've been
yeah.
doing since 1985 or whatever. I mean, it's just like, is it really working though? Because
Yeah, herein
I don't
lies the
see.
problem. I get some of my guys, friends that coach for a long time in all sports. Like, why do you do this? Well, we did it when I played, but you played in 1957.
Yeah.
So a few things have changed,
Yeah.
so you definitely need to be able to adapt and change. And I think it's kind of hard too from some of my friends to say, I don't know. I've never asked a head coach for any sport about something and they didn't know. But I know they didn't know. That's why I asked them the question the
Mhm.
way I did. I know they didn't know, but they would never say, and I don't know. I will tell you I don't know in a heartbeat, but
Right.
I also know where to find the answer.
Yeah.
If I'm puzzled or baffled with something, I can call a gold medal Olympian, a silver medal Olympian, a top 10 hurdler in the world, a top 10 800 runner, a top 10 2 miler. I can get on the phone and call somebody and go, here's what I'm dealing with. Have you ever heard of this or seen this? I mean, there's a lot of science out there.
Mhm.
Analytics is phenomenal. It's a lot of stuff. I can't remember what it's called, which Reynolds and I were talking about this a few weeks ago, an x-ray of somebody running 50 yards. Their skeleton is what we see.
Wow.
And they compare that skeleton to, say, Carl Lewis or
Mhm.
Usain Bolt. So you got all these different body types, you got all these different muscle groups, and they're trying to see what makes this person so much faster. Is they're all doing a similar training, but it's something with this person's body that makes them excel in areas that the other one doesn't. And to watch that is just so phenomenal.
Yeah.
You can mirror them, put them together, and watch and say, "Man, that's amazing." So there's so much science out there and so much stuff. But I think we can't forget the basics. We got to hydrate. We got to be flexible. We have to have a strong core. If we don't
Yeah.
have a strong core, we're a deep doo doo.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up with the core coach because that's a great transition to our next topic here. Obviously, you guys saw in the thumbnail, I have Lakers coach or not Lakers, retired longtime Lakers trainer Gary Vitti, very famous trainer. Was excellent for many many years and was part of obviously all those championships there in LA and big part of their culture. Gary Vitti recently went on Byron Scott's podcast, and it was a 12-minute clip where it talked about, you see there it says the injury crisis. And so we don't have to watch the whole thing, but a lot of what Gary says in the podcast is what coaches said on this show. Really, ever since he started coming on the show, and really, I think back to 2013, I started working with a coach. It's the same stuff, and these guys, obviously Coach and then Gary Vitti, they've been around the business for a long time for a reason, and they think alike on many things. And so here's just a clip real quick, Coach, and then I'll get Coach's reaction. Here was Gary Vitti on Byron Scott's podcast. And remember what Coach just said to your people about core. And pay attention when he's talking primarily about basketball players here because that's who he works with. And so let's take a listen to what Gary Vitti had to say here.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so and this is a lot of what you're talking about with the way the training is and the running and how the game is played has a lot to do with why are there so many injuries, because I'm getting those calls all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I'll try not to go all the way down the rabbit hole, but let's just talk a few things about what we do know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What we hear a lot is too many games, too much basketball at a young age. And that is absolutely true, but maybe not explained the way it should be explained.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do know about the human body, and this is well documented in the research, is that repetitive movement causes compensation, and the compensation causes dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of basketball, the game is played between here and here, what we call the core.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you a question. Who's a player that you know that played over 20 years that was doing core work before we even talked about core and never got hurt?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's right. He was doing yoga.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And he started talking to me. He didn't use the word core. He just said the game's played between here. And I started listening to him. Okay? And he's right. Okay. Now, we may not have known what we know today about what he was doing, but when you look back on it, the man was a pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, he sprained his ankle, he broke his hand, but the guy never pulled a muscle or anything like that.
You're right.
So the game is so much faster and so much more powerful. Where is all that coming from? It's coming from their hips.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the hips. So these hip flexors get really, really tight. They start to rotate your pelvis forward. That starts to really pull on your hamstring because your hamstring attaches underneath your pelvis and then crosses your knee joint. It shuts off the neural drive to your glute. So now, because your glute shut off, your hamstring's doing more work. That becomes prone. Your adductor muscles, which are your groin muscles, they attach underneath your pelvis.
Mm-hmm.
So they're working harder. Okay? So now, if you don't have a strong core, all this trying to, it's all about generating force from your lower extremity through your pelvis to your upper extremity. And we call that the kinetic chain. So if you hit a link in the chain that can't handle the load, okay, that's where it's going to fail.
Mm.
And it starts at the heel strike. So it could be your Achilles tendon. It could be your plantar fascia in your foot. It could be your Achilles tendon. It could be your calf. Okay. It could be your hip. It could be your back. It could be your neck. Okay. It goes all the way up kinetic chain. So going back to what we said about playing too much basketball, when we were kids, and I was a kid before you were a kid, but you experienced this.
Really?
Yeah, I'm older than you. I think when I came in, there was Kareem, McAdoo, and Jamal Wilkes were the only three guys older than me. Everybody else was younger than me. And then by the time I graduated, I could have been these kids' grandfather. Okay? That was Kobe's joke with me, is that I watched him grow up and he watched me grow old. I had him 20 years.
Yeah,
Facts.
True.
Got
that
him
is true, though.
17.
Facts. Yeah.
Okay. So these kids, when we were young, going back to this, we played, especially if you were from the East Coast or cold, Midwest, anywhere where there was cold weather, you played football in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Then it got too cold, so you went inside and played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Then it warmed up in the spring, and you went back outside and played baseball. As a result, you were a 3-sport athlete. What were you doing? You were cross training. The word didn't exist.
Right.
We didn't know that's what we were doing, but that's what we were doing. So you weren't doing the repetitive
thing
motion over and over. So now you're 7 years old. You might be good in several sports, but you really are shining in one sport, whatever it is. Doesn't necessarily have to be basketball, because we're not the only sport that people are getting hurt in doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again at 7 years old. So by the time I get you, you've developed these postural and movement dysfunctional patterns that it's almost impossible for us to get you out of it completely.
So a lot of stuff there, Coach. I had to cut off. You guys want to go watch that? It's on YouTube. Go watch the full clip. Great stuff. But Coach, your reaction to all the stuff Gary Vee said. That when I first saw that, Coach, I said, I know a guy that says that all the time. He's sitting right here. So, but go ahead, Coach. Floor's yours.
It was a lot of technical stuff. He probably lost a few people in the process. But basically, and he mentioned, the center part of the body or the core.
Yeah, let's start there with the core. That's one emphasis he made the most. That's why you brought it up. Go ahead.
And he mentioned that, and he mentioned the connecting parts of that, the hamstring, the Achilles. All of these things are connecting and have to work together. So if that's not strong or flexible, you're just going to get hurt. What I really like that he said, and I've said that for a dozen years, we're just playing the same stuff all the time, and wondering, how did we get hurt? And then as the kid get older, or a parent starts thinking, wait a minute, he's been playing basketball since he was 3. He's never played anything else, and now his shoulders and hips and knees are killing him at age 14. Well, as they call it now, cross training. But when I say cross training, people think of that program that was hurting a lot of people. I forget the name of it.
Yeah.
It was hurting a lot of people, and they think cross training was that. I didn't call that cross training. I just called that like everyday boot camp.
And
if
doing too much.
If you haven't done a lot of stuff for a lot of years, you might not want to go that boot camp style, spit in your face, throw a 17,000-pound boulder over Mount Everest twice. You might not want to do that when you first come back out, but for developing athletes, I just think it's so critical to develop the center part of the body. Once we get that going, we can start working on some other stuff. Every athlete, every sport that I've ever evaluated, and it's dozens and dozens and dozens, all have the same fundamental deficiency. They're usually fairly weak in the middle part of their body. Their hip flexors are awful. Their IT is awful outside the leg. Groin is awful. Hips are terrible. Dorsal flexion, moving their foot back and forth. It's all horrible, but they're studs or studettes, but they're weak. So now they're hurt. So once we start getting the strength, then we start working on the biomechanics, and we start working on the movement skills. There's so much that goes into developing an athlete. It's not just playing all the time. Folks hate to hear me say that, but you just don't need to play softball 15 months a year. You got to stop. You got to get some recovery, and you got to rest. So I liked all of that stuff. It was a really technical piece there, but he basically was saying you got to do some other sport, and you got to work on your body. He probably didn't do yoga at practice. He probably did yoga at home. So
doing it on his own time.
Yeah, you have to do things at home to get better. Meet with you for an hour, man, I'll beat you up pretty good. Some days you'll say this old man's crazy. Other days you'll say that wasn't that bad, until the next morning and you go, oh, what did I do yesterday?
Yeah.
But our muscles are just not used to that. But we got to develop them. We got to work them. We want to stay in the game. This 3 to 5 minutes of 6 or 8 band exercises every day will put you back into the game for about 6 to 8 more weeks. For those few little minutes. Now that's how critical that is. If you're more pliable, you can take a little bit more punch than if you're bored. That board's not going to give. So if you hit that hard enough, it's going to break. So we just got to prepare our bodies better. But he nailed it, man. It's just really, really technical. And he probably had a lot of people going,
Yeah, that's why I want you to react to, because you can kind of break it down and simplify it more.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys are pretty alike. Obviously, you can tell a lot of your philosophies and stuff. And he had obviously a lot of success all his years. The Lakers won many, many championships. A lot of it due to him.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
part of it. And so, I know, Coach, you have a core challenge. You said about home exercise. I know you said you had a core challenge you wanted to put out here tonight. What's the core challenge for the athletes out here?
This is really hard, and I don't think anybody can do it, he said jokingly. But a lot of people talk about fitness and wanting to get a little bit better. It's little bitty bites of the apple at a time.
Mhm.
So I would like for folks to test themselves. 30 seconds of push-ups. Just do 30 seconds and see how many you can do in 30 seconds. Don't count the bad ones. Don't count the half ones.
Could you, is Spider-Man push up possible for people that can't go all the way down?
Yeah, I mean, and you can even do it from your knees. The
Okay.
getting better thing, it's not like taking the whole apple and chewing it up and swallowing it, man. You'll
So we're
choke.
really breaking it down from the bottom up.
Yes, we want to
Okay.
make it as easy and as simple as possible. And unless you're going to go play in the World Series or the WNBA championship, you got some time.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're 8 or 80. One, you want to make sure you're physically fit and able to do any kind of thing, physical fitness wise.
Yeah.
Just time yourself. 30 seconds of push-ups, 30 seconds of sit-ups. Real sit-ups. Knees up, feet flat on the floor. Bring your chest up to your knees.
Yeah.
Don't care if you do 2 or 22. From there, we're going to get stronger in 33 days. It's really
So we
simple.
do that. We're doing that every day.
Every day. We're going
30
to do
seconds, just one time, 30 seconds.
No, we're going to time you. We're going to time yourself. And let's say you do 20 in 30 seconds, 20 push-ups
Okay.
in 30 seconds. And they're real ones. They're not just like wiggling your shoulders and arms.
Right.
You're getting your chest near the ground and back up. Not in a military marine, real tight there. We're going to get a little bit loose, get out there, get your arms out a little bit. Let's say you do 10. Let's say you do 20 in 30 seconds. That's your base. So from there, the next time we do this, you'll take tomorrow off because you're going to be really, really sore if you haven't been doing a lot of stuff. So tomorrow's Thursday. So Friday we go back and we do a simple pyramid. We do 6 push-ups, wait 10 seconds, do 4, wait 10 seconds, do 2. That's 12.
Mm-hmm.
We wait about 30 seconds and do that again. 6 o'clock, top of the hour. That's 24. At 6:30, you do it again. Another 24. All right. So now we're at 48. At top of the hour at 7 o'clock, you do it again. Now we're at 72. You did 72 push-ups in 1 hour. And it shouldn't have hurt. But again, make sure you're physically fit, able to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. If it's 8 that you do in 30 seconds, the pyramid is 4 and 2. You do 6 3 times. That's 18. Do it every 30 minutes, every other day for 33 days. Just keep doing that same thing every other day, 33 days. The numbers compound. And I used to tell younger athletes, take a picture of yourself in the mirror, bathing suit, what have you, and look at your front, side, and back, and then do the same thing in 33 days. If you did it, you're going to notice a significant change. And do the math, how many you'll be doing at that. So you got to make sure you're physically fit and just go at 30-second tests, push-ups and sit-ups, and build your pyramid off of there.
Yeah, and if anybody starts off with the 4 and 2 or whatever, don't get down on yourself. It's a slow progress. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people now, and really, like you said about societies now, more is better, and you watch all these guys online that look like they're all jacked, and they can do 100 push-ups, and although I really question how much a lot of them could actually do it on their own without other things, but we'll leave it at that.
Nope.
But listen, a lot of what you see online is not reality. We'll just leave it at that. But you want to go see reality, go to coach's session, see the guys he's worked with, these guys that build their way up and did it the right way. And a guy that I saw do that SpongeBob was Tyler Gilchrist, and man, I saw him Friday at the game. Shout out to Tyler.
Oh yeah.
But he stopped by at the Hoban games. So. But he's a guy I remember because his dad Mac, man, when he started working with he's a guy that would dedicate himself to it, and it paid off, and he was a big difference. Made all the way to Division I, and had a great career for himself. And
Yeah.
but yeah, that's important too. Don't get down on yourself. You start with 4-2, keep building your way up. Everything starts somewhere. Rome wasn't built in a day,
Yeah.
So
Little
that's
bitty
very
bite
important. Yeah,
the apple at a time. Make sure you're able to do stuff like that, and just see what happens. I mean, it's just a challenge for yourself to say in 33 days, what do I look like? I got
yeah.
this picture from day one, and I got a picture at 33 days. Then if you keep after it, we'll kind of up them numbers a little bit and get it a little more. But just to be fit, just to be moving, just to be doing something, and just make sure you're good to go for getting into that stuff.
Well, Coach, when we get out of here, we got to highlight. We're going to do this throughout the season. Want to coach a speed for sports athletes throughout the year. Coach has got many out there playing, and this will be mainly local, unless Coach got some other people he wants to throw out there wherever they are. And this week, Coach, we got Bryson Hall from Wadsworth. I know you, and really the Wadsworth football team. You got a bunch of guys out there. Bryson and his team had a dominant win over Barberton this week, and we'll start out the week 1-0. You can see Bryson here at quarterback, and you guys saw me. I featured him on the show when I met him almost 2 weeks ago at Coach's session, and you can see Bryson here throwing a beautiful pass for a touchdown. And Coach, tell us about Bryson. And I mean, he's a kid who's really worked really hard. He's got his team in a really good position. They can go really far this year, and he's a great kid. I got to meet, really good leader. I know you got a bunch of kids over there at Wadsworth as well, and tell us about Bryson, really just the guys over at Wadsworth this week, as they're the Speed for Sports Athletes of the Week.
Yeah, we got he really really worked hard all summer, man. He put it in. Got some stuff done. We changed some things. He went to a few football camps, college camps. Big thing about going to these college camps, you have to nail these drills. These 5-10-5, L drill, maybe standing broad jump, run a 10, 20, 30, and a 40. But so we have to nail those drills at those camps, and he really really worked on it. A little frustrated early because he wasn't making some cuts and turns right, but he was killing the band work. His hips got way more flexible, and they got good coaches out there. They're
Yeah,
doing
they do.
stuff.
Really
Good
good
quarterback
coaches.
coach. His
Yeah.
footwork looks good. He's quick. He's making those moves. So he really worked his butt off, man. It's several guys over there that show up and do the work.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this real quick about Bryson. Any quarterback out there, because I evaluate the quarterback position a lot now with the film stuff I do, even at the pro level, and just I listen and learn from a lot of guys that are quarterback gurus. If you guys really want to watch a kid in high school right now who's a sophomore killing it, go watch this kid who was properly developed. I know he worked with Jim Ballard, who my quarterback worked with him. Jim's a great quarterback trainer in the area from Winter Falls. Works with some other guys in the area as well. But this kid works with Coach, as you can tell, and Coach just broke all the stuff he's been doing. This kid is his mechanics in the pocket, the way he got the ball out. I mean, there's some throws he made in that game that were very impressive that you don't see high school kids, even college kids, making routinely anymore. And that's a whole other thing I've talked about on the show, Coach, about quarterback play really is at an all-time low across all levels, because I don't think the position is just not developed properly anymore. We want guys to be athletes first and not quarterbacks. This is a kid who's a quarterback who's improving his athleticism, so he has both. And so, yeah, anybody out there who wants to get better at playing quarterback, just go watch Bryson's footwork, go watch the mechanics, and watch. He's only a sophomore in high school, so and he's only going to get better, work with the coach and all. He has great people around him. Great, his dad was awesome. And so, shout out to Bryson, our Speed for Sports Athlete of the Week, and we'll have some more for you guys. I know Coach has got plenty, so.
And he is a great baseball player. Ding,
yeah,
ding,
there you
ding,
go.
ding,
So he
ding,
plays
ding,
more
ding.
than one sport. Yeah. So I'm sure he's pretty good in baseball too. So
Yeah.
shout out to Bryson and his dad and his family, and keep it. And shout out to Wadsworth football. They got a great program over there, and all coaches. Got a lot of coaches, players over there, and so we'll keep an eye on them.
Takes a village.
I'm gonna have to shoot up to one of his games this year. So maybe Coach and I pull up, and that'd be pretty cool. But Coach, where can they find you as we get up out of here?
330-592-1618. That's the number in the program. It's number 1 in your heart. And you can email me at eazee2@aol.com. Yep, me and 25 other people still have AOL. Hit me up. Tell me you saw it up here. We got some stuff and get some special stuff for you.
All right, Coach. Can't thank you enough, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes, indeed. Have a good one.
You too. Shout out to Coach Legrair, as always. Great stuff. Hope you guys really enjoyed it tonight. If you have any questions, I can email them or call them. You can email this show, email for this show is down below as well. If you have any questions, so leave a comment below as well. We'll get back to you. Let's get some of these comments here. I saw Mike said, "Let's go." Like, subscribe, and share. Wally was in the chat tonight. Wally, good to see you. He said, "What's up, Joseph? What's up, Wally? Good to see you." Jeremy, what's going on? What's going on, Lynch? Lynch will be back on for the post games this season as well. We always like having Lynch on. He always gives his analysis but entertainment as well. Teflon Don, good to see you. It's football season now. He said the Browns are going to be hot cheeks again. That's always Teflon's prediction every year, that they're going to be hot garbage. So I hope not, Teflon, but every year Teflon, you watching the show, outside the Flacco run, it has been great. So he said, "What's up, Teflon? Good to see you, brother. Hopefully we're in for a better year this year, brother. But we have fun over in this show regardless. So we get through it. We cope together. But but yeah, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Mike will be live, I believe, tomorrow or sometime this week to react to the Browns news. I was a 53-man roster. They traded Kenny Pickett. And so there's some stuff there he's going to react to, and then we'll be back maybe Sunday. I'm not sure, but stay tuned for that. We'll definitely be back up the week after when football starts. And yeah, so like, subscribe, share all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Go.
Thank you.